Good morning. It's Curt Doolittle and Dr. Brad Werrell for the Natural Institute. Please see our lovely new mugs. Thanks to the team, and it's on where can you get these? Well, we've got real merch now. We've got T-shirts and mugs and patches and stickers and stuff,
Posters.
and posters, and it's on naturallawinstitute.org/store. You just go to naturallawinstitute.org, not .com.org, and you'll find the store link, and you can find our books by the three books so far by our authors, and you can find the merch, which is T-shirts and posters and stickers, and I'll find out why the patch isn't there because I really like the patch. It's kind of fancy. All right. It's Tyson. It's Tyson. Tyson Tees. All right. It's anyway. Tyson's producing the T-shirts. So today is a work. Hold on. I got distracted. All right. So today is Saturday, July 13th, 2024. This is a working session. For those of you who don't know what a working session is, it means that Brad and I, you are sitting in on Brad and I working through writing a chapter of the book, etc. For the people who love this stuff, I'm glad you do. It surprises me. We do it for documentation purposes, but it turns out that people watch this stuff. And though I got in trouble because Brad and I produced about 40 hours of content, which I got behind on, and I got a little shame because now they got to catch up with 40 hours of content.
Sorry, guys.
Apologize, but it's my fault.
I'll take responsibility for that, Curt.
You will. You'll whip me into shape, making sure I do the
I'll
best.
take responsibility because someone has to be blamed. Scapegoats must be found.
I see. Okay. So you're gonna be the scapegoat, even though it has nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with me at all. But I will take full responsibility for the record.
Anyway, we have two choices today. And I thought we have the 23 or 32, whatever it is, first principles.
Right. We're working on that right now, right? As deliverables.
Right. And we are in the process of working on finishing up the cognitive laws, and we sort of want to get the basic principles out, the 30, because we already have the other pieces, right? We already have
yes.
Decidability and truth, reciprocity, demonstrated interest, group evolutionary strategy, but what we're missing is the first principles to sort of create it. And I guess the group wants to put together what they call a children's book.
Yes.
It's sort of
really okay. We'll see what they want and what they get, what they make of it.
It's what they really mean is it's a collection of these
basics
principles in a book that has some sort of illustration accompanying it. But the purpose is to make it what's the essence of everything reduced, right, to its minimum
fundamentals.
As fundamentals, and that's really it, which would be the ternary logic, evolutionary computation. We probably won't do all the grammars, but at least outline them,
right.
The inflationary, deflationary, the decidability, testimony, reciprocity, demonstrated interest, first principles, and group evolutionary strategy. I mean, if you have that, it's just learning how to use it, but that's everything, right?
That's it.
Okay. So I have my workspace set up for there. What did I set it up correctly? I don't believe it. I might have to pause because I'm all set up for embodiment, but I may have to go find the first principles.
Why don't you do that? I think you stop or pause the recording.
Pause, yes.
I think so.
I'm sorry. On our way to go figure that out, Brad and I came up with an issue because Brad's had an insight that I didn't attribute. In other words, well, we have deflationary, normal, or ordinary. it's called ordinary. Deflationary, ordinary, which is common language. Inflationary grammars, right? After inflationary, we get into, which is the fictionalisms and etc. And we get frauds, and then after that we get denials, and then after that we flip it around, and in other words, I'm not agreeing, right? Goes to I'm distracting, goes to I'm undermining you, right? So that's the GSSRM through sedition and treason. And so
yeah.
I call that reversal because I'm reversing it from me accepting you to me attacking you. So I call that point in change reversal. What we call it elsewhere is undermining. So we go from denial to undermining.
Right.
And so my assumption is that's the correct term to use rather than reversal.
I'm going to give you the a diagram.
Okay.
So for the audience, what we have done is identified that
yes,
the grammars exist on a continuum between inflationary and deflationary terms, and seek an equilibrium, which means these disciplinary restrictions of language. So confining the language within some terms that are acceptable within that discipline.
mm-hmm.
And so what you're calling reversal is an extension of demand for expansion of the disciplinary restrictions at the expense of eliminating people who don't agree. And it looks like this. There's the.
Yeah, I get the triangle, right? What I don't get is the internal. You got two equal signs.
Right. What we have is the discipline that was acceptable, and then the lies being and undermining occur here, which is why it has a minus.
Yeah.
Demanding the equilibrium be shifted over here at the expense of these.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. Isn't that triangle upside down? The point should be.
We could do that, and but they're demanding an equilibrium at the expense of the participation of the people on the extreme right.
Correct.
So they undermine them to prevent them from asserting the disciplinary restrictions that they require.
This is a contribution. This is novel. I haven't done this. And I really like that. I would put it back in the diamond format. And I'm saying that, but I'm not thinking it through really right away. So I want to make sure that if we put it in the diamond format, in other words, you flipped it upside down with me, and then it was mine's the bottom. Is that what's going on?
What they're trying to do is so you could, if you draw it that direction, yeah, the discipline they're demanding requires the elimination of the masculine.
Right, so it is. It's just it's just
right, it looks like that.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so can I put that back up so I can screenshot it?
Okay, here you go.
Make it pull back a little bit. Pull back a little bit. I want to get the whole thing, the whole card.
Oh, okay.
Right there we go. Now hold it steady. Boom. Thank you. Oops, I didn't get it. I got to do it again.
Hang on. You hold it like this. Is that good enough?
Wait a minute, hold on. I got to do it this way. There we go. That's good. Got it. Now I got it.
Made a bloopy sound. I like that.
That's Apple's screenshot sound. I'm sorry. I have a little. I cut myself trimming my beard, Brad. It's like a 15. The problem you do when you're 15 or you're 17, and dangerous I'm 65, work. And I'm still doing it.
It's dangerous work. There's just knives and faces, man.
Just doing the little, bzzz.
It's not without risk.
And I couldn't get it right, so I used some very sharp scissors.
Yeah,
And I nicked
found
it.
out how sharp they are.
Yeah, it doesn't feel nice.
Sorry.
Anyway,
That's
so
it. We can end it.
that's an, see, I wanna, I push back, I mean, you're, for the audience, Brett is really humble. And so he's always appreciative of his position in participating in this project. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd still be going if it wasn't for you. The second thing is you've actually contributed, right? I mean, that's something I didn't think of. Now, I know a lot of people have contributed, but I mean, that's a contribution. So thank you.
My pleasure.
So that's me pushing back on your humility a little bit.
That's
I mean,
nice.
which I find profoundly charming, but I actually call you out on it all the time.
As he's stepping on my humble toes.
Um,
Just a little bit. I look at it as a feather in my little hat that's not here.
so we have this point of, so the reason I don't like the term reversal is that while it's accurate in changing the POV, right, in the point of view, it's not accurate in that it's consistent with deflationary,
I think it is inflationary because you're right. It does you're right. It doesn't, it actually, it more maps to the diamond shape. Because they're demanding a reversal at the expense of the truthfulness of the people on the extreme right.
So where we have, and there's something to be learned here, which is, if you'll be patient with me while I work it through, I see a dissonance in the pattern I want to fix. So we have deflationary, we have ordinary. I don't know why I forgot that word a minute ago. Deflationary, ordinary, inflationary, conflationary, right? What we call the fictionalisms, which is again a deviation. It should be the the systemic deceptions, right? Or systemic distractions, right? Because that's what they are. We've gone from loading and framing to loading and framing and obscuring into systemic loading, framing, obscuring, right?
Yes.
Using, right? And then when we get beyond that, we're into fraud. And
yes.
then once we get into that, we're in denial. And that's the end point of me trying to convince you.
That's correct. And it's
right?
the issue being they're trying to overbalance influence on their side of the scale.
Correct. And the next, so when I'm doing deflationary to ordinary, right? I'm just testifying, right?
Right.
When I'm doing ordinary to fictionalisms, to fictionalism, I'm either loading and framing and obscuring, or I'm loading, framing, and obscuring with attempt to it's a systemic deception, right? And then we get into denial, fraud, which is I'm trying to obtain, push a harm on you,
undue influence, and
right, and for profit. Then I'm going into denial, at which point I have said I'm ending this attempt.
We're no longer being reciprocal.
Right. Even so, it's reciprocal. It's the pretense of reciprocity, and then it's the end of the denial is the end of attempts at reciprocity. And it's so fuck you. It turned out you were right. So fuck you. So, and then it's the end of oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. And then we get into the undermining, which goes through the GSSRM type stuff, then into scale, right? And then into institutional scale, right? So it scales up directly, whereas the deflationary grammar doesn't, it scales up only by utility. It doesn't scale up by social construction. So they get into social construction, which is where their evil comes from.
They've institutionalized the
the lie.
The disempowerment of people who tell the truth.
Right. And so, where, I guess this is we're trying, so which core principle are we trying to maintain in the names that we use on this spectrum? And I think it's actually the operational, which is what we're saying, which is undermining, it's deflationary, ordinary, inflationary, fictional, fraudulent, denial, reversal, right? Reversal, which is the ad hominem. And I want to know what reversal needs to be, because it could be undermining. I think if we go from fraud to denial to undermining, I suppose that's probably the right. That's probably the right.
Right.
It doesn't, but it doesn't. It should be, for me, if we have deflationary, the opposite end should be something in the same. In other words,
most inflationary.
Inflationary by what? Is it?
I understand what you're saying. So is it? Yes, it's the making the claim and operating on the claim that we must exclude that, which is absolutely inflationary because it's contrived.
Or is it absolutely? Inverted. Is it adding something that's not there? Or is it a culmination of, well, if you say it's attacking the individual instead of the argument, we could say it's inflation. It continues to be inflationary. Because it's
well, we're attacking the argument by attacking the people who present the argument.
Right.
Which is claiming that we must exclude this person from consideration in our conversations to establish the new equilibrium, which is irreciprocal.
So it's just undermining.
But that's why I drew it like this, because it's like it shows they're attempting to establish a new equilibrium that is irreciprocal and excludes these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the arguments that they might present.
Yeah, exactly.
It is social construction and not reciprocal.
Okay, so that's what we got to do. So we got to start with undermining the speaker, undermining the
there's a
scale, just like there is to inflationary.
That's going down that limb right there. That's going down this limb right here.
Yeah. So it's not so. If we were to say the deflationary grammars, the ordinary grammars, the inflationary grammars, which just means, I mean, it's fiction is loading and framing, right? I mean, then you have the systemic fictionalisms, which is the male version of lying, so to speak.
Right.
And then you get into the denial, which is the break. And then you get into the female, right, which is the female means of, oh, that's actually, that's what you were saying originally, the female means of sedition, which is of inflation. Is it male inflation and female inflation? Was it feminine, masculine inflation and female? And so systematizing, because loading and framing, that's gender neutral.
That's correct.
But
right, so it's in the middle of in the middle. It's right past ordinary, right? It's like, okay, now it's ordinary, but it's like, well, justificationary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes into this further extreme, which is increasing demands for compliance by the people that are more deflationary in their thinking.
Systemic coercion. Fictionalism is systemic coercion, deception, and under sedition and social construction are psychological, emotional, social sedition, right? I mean, it's really that division.
Right.
So we have to create layers, where it's like, in other words, a hierarchy, which is, these are deflationary, these are ordinary, these are inflationary, which can include conflationary. These are systematizing, these are denial, these are empathic, right? They're systematizing. These are, and we can just describe those properties above them with different categories, like we do with the different categories of fictionalisms, etc. Okay, we can do all that. We can just add all that.
What it does is it defines fields in the equilibrium construct.
Yeah, I know, but there's two. I'm trying to maintain compatibility between the diagram you're using and the two-dimensional representation we've got in the spreadsheet. And I'm trying to make sure that we can, when the people look at those two things, they are intuitively consistent, rather than, okay, I don't understand how these two things fit together. So I know you're right. And
we understand one another.
Sorry?
Yeah, we understand one another.
So what you're trying to describe is what happens on the diagram, and I'm trying to describe what the difference in operations are being used, and the categories of precision we would use to describe that on the graph. So really, the graph, right? Not the graph, the spreadsheet, which is the table, sort of is a detail, whereas the triangle and the diamond are the supply-demand diagram that represents the use of those things, right? That's the use.
Right, operations.
So, because what you're doing is supply-demand price calculation, and the price is basically the cost of capital.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes.
I think that's right. So now we got a job of updating. Update the grammars for the masculine, feminine, inflationary hierarchy. Spectrum. And then add Brad's lower triangles. To the diamond diagram. Grammars table. Lower triangles, diamond, and add this to Kanban. The grammars table. Okay, got that one. We're gonna have to do that together.
That's fine.
Do it right now. I don't have the brains for it.
We don't need to do it right now. It's just a matter of put it out there.
We'll just add it to the to-do list, which is somewhere over here. MLI, core staff work items.
Oh,
Add item. CD, content, and up to CD, BW, update the grammars table for the this is up. Okay, where are you? Come on, baby, you can do it. Delete from project archive, convert to issue. Yay. Project backlog. Yay. All right,
You satisfied with that one for a short?
I am. Let's end that one and we'll be done.